If a Jew meets a Moor, no matter how low the position of the latter, he is obliged to step barefooted into the filth of the middle of the street, so as not to touch the garments of a follower of the prophet. And he is not allowed under any circumstance to enter the street upon which a temple is situated. The punishment for the disregard of any of these laws is simply terrific, ranging from burning to death. The Jews of Morocco look upon themselves as a persecuted race, but from my own observation, I think I'd had rather be a Jew than a Moor, so far as persecution is concerned, for his deadly hatred of the Moor, coupled with his own superior cunning, gives him in the course of his lifetime a chance to return oppression for oppression. And to my certain knowledge, the dungeons of Morocco are filled with Moors rotting to death in payment of debts owed to this same persecuted race. We have the demonstration about Uncle Sam fooling the Moors, and the Jews was working with the United States to make contracts with Moors and get them into debt and get them into debtor's prison. Now, as far as all these contracts, they're all fraud, but ignorance of the law is no excuse. You should know. You should not acquiesce. But still, these contracts are fraud. They would get them into interest. We did the whole detailed reading. It said the Jews was assisting United States. Go look at the Post section and you'll find where it has Uncle Sam. Moors robbed of their all. They was selling bogus Christian certificates for protection, saying if these Moors paid certain payments that the Christians wouldn't come to their house and take everything. Then they got them into debt. For as in other lands, the superior cunning of the Jews make them the bankers of the country. And with a debtor's law, which allows the imprisonment of a man until his debt is discharged, there are ample opportunities for the Jews to act as fiends incarnate. In return for this, the Moor thinks no more of killing a Jew, if he can do it quickly, than of killing a rat. The Jews are not allowed to carry arms of any kind, nor to ride upon a horse, mule, donkey, or bullock, but must make all journeys on foot. Neither are they allowed to wear any foot coverings outside of their own quarter, where they are herded together like animals. In return for this, a Moor thinks no more of killing a Jew. In return for what? In return for them being bankers and making debtors' prison laws. So this image is from 1907. It states, Moorish hatred of the Jew. Customs officers abusing Hebrews at the Watergate at Casablanca. But it states within the same manuscript that these was Moorish Jews. It calls them Moorish Jews. So these are their brothers. It's just they're putting the European on their brother. As far as going and doing debtor's prison and all that, these was lawyers. Just like I was reading in the manuscript, it said that the lawyers created the 14th and 15th Amendment. They created the UN in 1946, 45. It said that, these Jews are the lawyers, but yet the Moors are the masters of jurisprudence, the science that treats positive law. That's what the whole focus of this demonstration is. Learn to love instead of hate, because whether it's a Moor going against a Moor, a European going against a Moor, then a Moor against a European, like Noble Drew Ali said, Moors when you're back on top. Don't bring the karma back on you. Try to be as peaceful as you can with all nations whom seek peace. But you're going to have those that step out of line. That's what I want to talk about. Hatred. Hatred blinds you from being able to see the truth. Even when you see the truth, you always have that small voice within you that's saying, hey, they're right. But that hatred and ego makes you continue to fight against truth. And that's those that can't see. Just like this Boyle O'Reilly, I want to get into the allusion to blue blood and his mindset against the facts or the truth and reality because of his blindness from hate. The dark or blue blood in the human body is more putrid than the red blood, so that Mr. O'Reilly's simile is quite justified by the facts. But the meaning of blue blood in the sense of aristocracy comes from quite a different notion. After the Moors were driven out of Spain, or much of them as were too high-spirited to become Christians on compulsion, the aristocracy of Spain was held to consist of those who traced their lineage back to the time before the Moorish conquest. These people were whiter than those who had been mixed with Moorish blood. The veins upon the white hands were blue, while the blood of the masses, contaminated quote unquote by the Moorish infusion, showed black upon their hands and faces. So the white Spaniards of the old race came to declare that their blood was blue, while that of the common people was black. You hear this? The phrase passed to France, where it had no such significance and was in fact quite an arbitrary term, and got on to England and America, where Mr. O'Reilly makes in turn to plague its local inventors. In the old term, however, it was quite commonly supposed that the thick and dark blood was the best. Thin blood or pale blood, you hear that? Pale-blooded meant weak and cowardly. And the simile still survives. Shakespeare never loaded more words heavily with significance than when he made Lucio call Angelo in Measure for Measure a man whose blood is very snow broth, one who never feels. The wanton stings and notions of the sense, blood of snow broth. There is an expression eminently Shakespearean for you. So pale blood was seen as cowardly. So indeed, I'll close out with learn to love instead of hate. Going back and forth and having hatred blinds you from the truth, and going back and forth and back and forth. Learn to love instead of hate. Today's Holy Friday. I've been pulling a lot of clips together that I had previous, but this is an actual recording I was able to do on this day, Holy Friday, July 18th. Holy Friday. Honors to the few, honors to the Moors. Honor to everyone whom seeks peace. I leave you in love and peace. Divine honors to Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish divine and national movement of the world, Islamism.